Hey boys and girls, welcome back. I feel like I have my own show. Welcome back to Miss Lindsay's math book show, math lesson, geometry show, whatever you want to call it. Today is Tuesday, May 5th. It's Cinco de Mayo, so make sure you're eating tacos after this. Braylon, if you don't have your queso or taco cat shirt on, then go put it on. All right, measure angles. You're gonna need a protractor for this. So if you don't have a protractor, I want you to pause this video and print out the online version of the protractor. I'll attach it to Monday's lessons and you'll be able to print it out and use it for these book pages. I like to use this clear one because it's easy to see. I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute, but a paper one definitely works. And next year, thankfully, you relearn all of this, so if you're confused using a paper one, or if it's definitely a lot easier for me to teach in person with a protractor, so don't worry, you'll relearn it. We're just gonna try our best today. The protractor is a tool used to measure angles, okay? So the length of the rays does not affect the measure of the angle. What that means, the length of the rays does not affect the measure of the angle, is that if you had an angle that looked like this, remember that these are two rays put together to form an angle. Just because this ray has really long lines and this one doesn't, or a lot longer lines, that doesn't matter. They can still be the same degrees. Okay, they can still measure as the same degrees. So the length of the individual rays does not matter. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to measure an angle. I'm just going to draw a random angle, okay? Here's my angle. Okay, so I'm going to show you, oops, those should be arrows. I'm going to show you how I would measure this angle. So using my protractor, here I have the center of my protractor, okay? I am always going to make sure, these lines right here are very, very important. Find these lines on your protractor. Your bottom ray always needs to be lined up with these lines. So what I do is I put this little dot on the end point of your two rays. Then you see this line here? It can't be like this, okay? See how it's not lined up with the ray, the bottom ray? These lines need to be on top of the ray, okay? So here I have the end point, and then this line is lined up with my ray, okay? Now what I'm doing is I'm measuring to see where this ray hits, okay? So this ray hits all the way up 50 degrees and also 130 degrees, okay? 50 degrees or 130. Now, it's not both 50 and 130. What I'm going to show you right now is how to tell if it's 50 degrees or if it's 130 degrees, because a lot of the time it's hard to tell. But I'll tell you this. Look at this angle. Is this an acute angle, an obtuse angle, or an acute angle, obtuse angle, or right angle? It's an acute angle. Remember, it's cute and little. It's a cute angle. It is less than 90 degrees. Here's where my 90 degrees would be. It's less than 90 degrees, or a right angle. If it's less than 90 degrees, is it 50 degrees or 130? It's 50 degrees, okay? This angle measures 50 degrees. It's an acute angle, okay? The reason why there's a 130 right here, guys, is if there was a ray that went this way, and we were measuring this way, then this angle would be 130. So that's why there's those two numbers. So we'll do another one together. Here, I'm actually going to make it a little slanted like this, okay? Because I'm going to show you how to measure an angle when it's not like perfectly like horizontal. Okay, so here's my protractor. You could either turn your paper and line it up or turn your protractor. So I'm turning my protractor to make sure that one ray is lined up with the dot here and then this line. And first I'm gonna look at the angle and I'm gonna say, is it right, is it acute, or is it obtuse? It's obtuse. So it has to be greater than 90 degrees. So I'm putting my dot on here, and the line, I'm making sure that this black line here, do you see the black line? This black line here is lined up with the red line. And I am measuring this angle. It looks like this ray is at 40 and 140. Do you see how it hits both? But since it's an obtuse angle, it wouldn't make sense that it's 40 degrees. This angle is 140 degrees, okay? And remember, 90 degrees is a right angle. Anything greater than that, greater than 90 degrees is obtuse. Anything less than 90 degrees is acute. A cute little angle is less than 90 degrees. All right. So if you had straight lines that just went this way, remember that's 0 degrees. Okay, let's measure example 2 on page 900 together. So it says step number 1, line up the protractor. So I'm putting my center of my protractor here on the end point. I'm making, because look guys, you can put the center like this, but then these lines are off. That's not going to give you the right angle measurement. You need to turn your protractor so that the lines match up with a ray. Now, this line is pointing to, let's see. It looks like it's in between 130 degrees and 120 degrees. So if a line is in between 130 degrees and 120 degrees, what's your best estimate? What do you think the degrees of this angle is? I'm going to guess 125 degrees. It says, be sure that you read the protractor correctly. The angle is obtuse. So choose 125, not 55, just like we talked about. It also could have been 55 right here in between the 50 and the 60, but since this is an obtuse angle, it's greater than 90, then it's 125. Okay, hopefully that makes sense for you. All right. Number 1, use a protractor to measure each angle. This one looks about 90, could be a little bit more. Let's check. I'm going to take my center, I'm putting it on the end point, lining up that line there. And this line, you could draw a little imaginary line that goes up. See, it could be 80 or 100. Well, if it was 90 degrees, guys, it would come up this way. So it's an obtuse angle, which is 100 degrees, greater than 90. Now number 2 is turn, so I'm going to turn my protractor to line this bottom line up, center with the end point, and this is acute, so I know right away that it's going to be smaller than 90 degrees. It's a cute little angle. And let's see where it hits. I would say about 75 degrees. Yep, 75 degrees. And if you're a little off, just try your best to take your best guess. It's a little bit hard to see sometimes. Make your little imaginary line and see. Okay, number 3, measure the indicated angle on the triangle. Okay, I'm going to turn my protractor and putting the center here, lining it up. This is an acute angle, so it has to be less than 90 degrees. And it falls on I'm gonna go with 50 degrees. 50 degrees. Well, I guess, yeah. 45 or 50 degrees. It's closer to 50 degrees, but it's in between 45 and 50. All right, I want you guys to try all of these on your own on page 901. This angle, so let's do this one together. This would actually be 180 degrees since it's a straight line, and remember, a full half turn is 180 degrees because a full turn is 360 degrees. The rest I want you to try. We'll do one word problem on the back. So let's see. Number 14. We're on page 902. Sue drew two angles that shared a common endpoint and a common ray. So here's the two angles. There's the endpoint, and this is the common ray that they're sharing. One angle is 20 degrees. Okay, here's our 20 degrees angle. Measure the other angle. Then measure the angle formed by the two angles together. Okay. So if I'm measuring this other angle and putting my endpoint here, it's going to be acute. Let's see where this line hits. I would say it hits between, since it's acute, you're not using these, you're using this one up here. It hits between 30 and 40, so I'm gonna say it's about 35 degrees. Now we could measure them together, or we could just add it up. I'm guessing when I measure, it's gonna be about 55 because 35 and 20 is 55, but let's see. Endpoint on the center of the protractor, making sure that this black line is lined up with the ray. And it hits about, the other angle is 35 degrees. And then the angles together are 55 degrees. Okay. Alright guys, I want you to try your best to finish that page and then do the homework front and back, and also to finish page 901. Good luck!